What's up, guys? No NCAA tournament games for a few days, so here on Monday, March 25th, we're covering the best value on the NBA slate. The Sunday NCAA games haven't all finished up at the time of recording this. Marquette did come through for us as one of our biggest bets of the day. They cashed, barely covering that 3.5 points. We'll take that one, though. Utah State did not work out. They got dominated. James Madison didn't work out. Duke played one of their best games of the season, so I guess I should have trusted the hat or something. I don't really know. Baylor looks like they're in trouble, but Green Canyon's got a chance, and then we've got all the late games, so we could still pull a winning day out of the fire here. Don't worry, guys, just a couple days of NBA, and then we can go back to degenning on the NCAA Sweet 16. Smash the thumbs up button if you like seeing these picks every day, and subscribe to the channel. Things have been absolutely wild lately, but over 75% of viewers still aren't subscribed. It's 100% free and can keep you from missing these picks. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description to go over there and join our free email list, and check out our top confidence plays on all the major sports. Comment below to let us know how your bracket is looking headed into the Sweet 16 and how you are doing with all of your bets for today, or anything else you want to say about these picks, these videos, or anything you see here. Let me know if you prefer NBA videos when there is no college basketball, or would like to see something else. I respond to every single comment, and I'll give you my best advice on your picks to help us all put up some wins. Now let's dive into our first game of the day, Charlotte against Cleveland. The Charlotte Hornets come into this game losers of 4 in a row. They're not having a very good time this season. They're not having a very good time lately. This team, their last time out, they got destroyed playing at Atlanta. Before that, they lost by a landslide margin at Orlando. And before that, they lost to the short-handed Philadelphia 76ers. This squad is just not having a good time. Technically, they're healthy, but until this team has Lonzo Ball out there on the floor and more draft picks, they're not really a full team in my eyes. The future does look bright with Brandon Miller playing well here down the stretch. In the second half of the season, he's really come alive. He's looked like a very, very valuable player that you can maybe build around, but he's not exactly on that level where you're like, oh my God, this guy's going to absolutely save this franchise. The Hornets are absolutely not an elite offensive team. Their rebounding numbers are semi-pedestrian. Their assist numbers aren't great. They're only 17 and 53 on the season overall. Not exactly the kind of numbers you're going to be excited about. Even if you're in rebuilding mode, you'd like to see a little bit more fight, a little bit more success than that. In terms of defensive rating, Charlotte is absolutely at the bottom of the barrel. They're allowing an effective field goal percentage of 57%. That is almost worst in the league. Over their last 3 games, that number's been even worse, allowing over 60% effective field goal percentage. That is absolutely cartoonish level bad. In their blowout loss at Atlanta, we really didn't see anyone play well except for Bridges. He put up 27 points, but the bench didn't look good. They didn't shoot the ball well from 3. They didn't get to the free throw line. They got kind of dominated on the boards in that game. Really not a lot of positive things to take from outings like that. They're going to need to play a lot better if they want to keep this game competitive going up against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland got absolutely destroyed playing at Miami last night. In that Sunday night game, they were banged up, don't get me wrong, but they did have Mobley out there, Jarrett Allen, Darius Garland, Karis LeVert. They should have had enough to at least put up a fight against an also shorthanded Heat team that does not have all of their pieces. The Cavs just did not look good. Evan Mobley led the way with 15 points. That is not what you want. You don't want Mobley being the leading scorer. In a game like this, you're going to want Garland to take over. He only scored 9 points in that game. This was just an absolute stinker from the Cavaliers. They are going to want to get the taste of this game out of their mouth. This team has actually been really, really good over the course of the season. They find themselves right now sitting in 3rd place in the East, but if they want to hold on to that spot, they're going to have to play a lot better to hold off the Knicks and the Magic. They are both pushing pretty hard, playing well right now. Cleveland comes into this game needing a win. They're playing on no rest. Donovan Mitchell is not going to be back quite yet. It doesn't seem like he'll be back soon, but not for this one. He's still dealing with that nasal fracture. The poor guy can't seem to catch a break. He's been beat up all season long. Cleveland's only 16-18-1 against the spread at home. They're only 4-7-1 against the spread on no rest, but they are a very, very solid 15-9-2 against the spread coming off a loss. And we see that the Charlotte Hornets are a near league worst 13-24 against the spread playing on the road this season. Give me Cleveland minus 11.5 in this one. They're going to get a blowout win as they bounce back from a terrible loss at Miami. Next up, we've got the Boston Celtics going on the road to take on the Atlanta Hawks. Boston comes into this game fresh off of another win. This team has been absolutely killing it lately. They've won 9 straight. Their last one was a comfortable win, an 11-point win at Chicago. In that game, the Celtics were at absolutely nowhere near full strength, and they still managed to get a comfortable win. Tatum played through a little bit of pain to put up 26 points in that one. We saw 3 Celtics scorers put up more than 20 points. We saw even Derek White had a good night. He scored 17. Pritchard coming off the bench looked great. He put up 15 points. The Celtics dominated on the boards in that game. Chicago really didn't have a chance. They pretty much had their full squad out there too, so not a lot of excuses here. Chicago just not that great of a team right now. The Celtics just continue to roll. They've got things pretty much sewn up in the Eastern Conference. They have an 11.5 game lead over the Bucks. They are just cruising right now. It's a little bit surprising. You would think they wouldn't have too much motivation, but they're still getting up to beat teams even when they're shorthanded, so that's pretty encouraging. The Celtics definitely expect to have Jaylen Brown back for this game. Drew Holiday is listed as inactive for this game, but that's not a huge concern. He's still dealing with that shoulder issue, and obviously the main goal of Boston at this point in the season needs to be getting healthy. The Celtics are just looking like the best team in the NBA right now. They're taking on the Atlanta Hawks in this one. The Hawks are not looking like a very good team at all. Atlanta is coming off of a win in this game. They just took down the Charlotte Hornets in a blowout, but other than that, they just have not been having a good time. They have won 2 of their last 7 games, but they have some bad losses in there, losing to Portland. They almost lost to Memphis. Like, they are just not having a very good time. They've been getting blown out by the decent teams, and they are taking on a very decent team in this one. All that noise about maybe the Hawks are better with Trae Young out of the roster and they should trade him off and go with Dejounte Murray to lead the way have kind of died down. Nobody's really saying that anymore now that they're not exactly tearing it up. Atlanta is fairly healthy coming into this game. Jalen Johnson's not going to be playing, but I don't think we need to worry too much about that. We look at Boston, they're 18-15-3 against the spread on the road this season. Not a terrible number. And Atlanta, they are a near league worst 12-22 against the spread when playing at home. Give me Boston -11 in this one. They're going to find a way to get the blowout win and cover in this game. I don't care really who plays, as long as they put out some sort of decent semblance of their main roster. Even their bench players are better than a lot of the Hawks starters, so give me Boston to get a blowout win and cover in this game. Next up, we got a more interesting game. We've got the Washington Wizards going on the road to take on the Chicago Bulls. Washington comes into this game on a 2-game winning streak. How shocking is that? Not something I thought we would say again this season. They took down the Sacramento Kings in a shocking upset, and then in a much less shocking win between 2 terrible teams, they took down the Toronto Raptors by 3 points. The Wizards come into this game, they're fairly healthy, but this is obviously a terrible team. Jordan Poole is listed as day-to-day. Tyus Jones is currently listed as out for this one. He will not be out there going up against the Bulls. Prior to this 2-game winning streak, Washington was not doing well at all. They were getting blown out on a nightly basis no matter who they faced. They got beat by 12 points playing at Memphis. That's pretty embarrassing. Kuzma and Jordan Poole, I guess, are the pieces on this team, but man, Poole looks absolutely terrible. He was slightly better coming off the bench, so maybe there's some hope for him, but man, that Draymond Green punch seems to have really knocked him out of almost being an NBA level player. Chicago Bulls come into this game. They are struggling a little bit. They were playing better there for a second, but they were taking advantage of some weak schedule. Over the last 2, they lost at Houston, and then they lost to the skeleton crew of the Boston Celtics. That could not feel very good. Right now, the Bulls are relatively healthy in this game with Kobe White and Alex Caruso, both listed as day-to-day. I pretty much expect both of them to be playing in this game, though. Interestingly enough, we're not going to be looking at the spread too much in this game. Rather, we're looking at the over-under. Right now, we see the number is set at 226.5. Washington is a very standard. They're a 50-50 team. Half their games are over, half their games are under. But Chicago is a league highest 57% to the over this season. And I think this is a game where we're going to see a lot of points scored. Chicago is not going to be trying to play too much hard defense against Washington. And Washington can kind of score the ball regardless. Give me the over in this one. I think both teams find a way to put up some buckets, and a lot of their games recently have been high scoring, so give me the over in this one. Next up, we've got the Detroit Pistons going on the road to take on the New York Knicks. Detroit not having a great time right now. They've lost 6 in a row. They've been pretty banged up. Cade and Jalen Duren both sat out their last game in that loss to the Pelicans on Sunday, but there's some chance we see both of them play in this game. Detroit has at least been keeping some of their games competitive. Obviously, they haven't been able to hang with teams like the Celtics or the Pacers, but they kept things close against the Heat. They kept things close against the Pelicans, at least kind of, I guess. This is a team with little to no incentive to be winning games right now. There's just no reason for them to be trying to put up wins. They're trying to improve their draft stock, trying to make sure Cade and Jalen Duren get through this season with experience, but also healthy and ready to go into an offseason with plenty of energy left to improve their game. Not a lot of positive things to say about the Pistons other than that. They do have a bright future, I think. I don't love their coaching situation right now, and I know some Pistons fans who are also very unhappy with Monty Williams, so we'll see what they eventually end up doing. But regardless, they're going to have some kind of plan going up against the New York Knicks tonight. The Knicks come into this one fresh off of a win over the Brooklyn Nets. Right now, it's just a race for the Knicks to see if they can get healthy before the NBA playoffs tip off. Obviously, they're fighting for seeding right now. They do have a very reasonable chance to end up in that 3 seed or all the way down to the 5 or 6 seed, but I don't see them really in danger of falling into the play-in tournament. The Knicks are a great defensive team, ranking in the top 10 in effective field goal percentage allowed. The core players that they've been riding with recently are healthy. We don't know if OG Anunoby is going to play in this game. He just can't get that elbow thing figured out. It looks like he's very, very much unlikely to play in this game, but we're not too worried about that. I mean, they're going up against the Detroit Pistons. The news we're really concerned about in this one is who's going to be playing for Detroit. If Duren and Cade are both going to be back and the Pistons are still getting 16.5 points, that's just too many points in this game. We're also looking at the under in this one. Detroit is 51, almost 52% to the under, and the Knicks are a league best, almost 63% to the under. So guys, this is a twofer. We're going with the Detroit Pistons plus 16.5, and we're going with under 206.5. This could be a great spot. This is one of my favorite spots of the night, especially if we see Cade or Jalen Duren playing this game. That could mess up our over-under just a hair, but I don't really think it's too big of a concern, and it's going to really give those points some value. So give me the Pistons plus 16.5 and the under. Next up, we're looking at the Portland Trail Blazers going on the road to take on the Houston Rockets. Portland comes into this one fresh off a 6th straight loss. This team kept things very close and got the win for us for the premium members at stumpthespread.com. Keeping things close in that one. Portland playing on no rest this season has been absolutely great. So thanks to the Blazers for holding on in that one. But tonight, I think, is going to be a different story. Portland is not playing very well right now. They just had an all-rookie starting lineup, which is pretty wild stuff. Like, not exactly what you expect to be seeing at this point in any NBA franchise. Anthony Simons, Jeremy Grant, DeAndre Ayton. I don't know if any of them will play in this game. It seems pretty unlikely. They're really trying to shut down their actual good players and tank this thing out to end the season kind of on a convincingly downward angle so they can up their draft stock as much as possible. And in this game, they're taking on a very motivated team. The Houston Rockets have now won 8 games in a row. They're one of the hottest teams in the NBA right now. They are catching up to the Golden State Warriors. They're only a game and a half back of Golden State for that last play-in spot. That would be absolutely wild if they were able to make that comeback and get that spot despite Alperen Sengun going out for the season. Unfortunately for the Rockets, Jabari Smith Jr. is going to be out for this game. He's serving his 1-game suspension for that little fracas they had during Saturday's game against the Utah Jazz. Regardless though, Houston has been playing great. They haven't had the toughest schedule recently, I'll give you that for sure, but they've been finding the way even in close games. They've got a win at Sacramento during that stretch, which is very respectable. They beat the Bulls, who are a semi-decent team during that stretch. Just in general, this team has been playing very, very well. They're a top 5 defensive team in the league, allowing only 53% effective field goal percentage to their opponents. That's pretty wild. We are also seeing Houston is a league best 25-10-1 against the spread playing at home. Give me Houston minus 9.5 in this one. It's a little scary with Parker out, but I'm not too worried about it. I think they find a way against a Portland team that's playing all rookies, and none of those rookies, including Scoot, unfortunately, are really getting me excited. Next up, we're looking at the Dallas Mavericks going on the road to take on the Utah Jazz. Dallas comes into this game fresh off of a 3rd straight win. They've won 7 of their last 8 overall. Luka and Kyrie being healthy and Daniel Gafford being healthy, man, this team can really, really hum. Dallas is very motivated right now. Currently, they sit in the 8th seed. Everything's so jam-packed around that play-in tournament for the Western Conference. They're definitely trying to play their way out of that, catch up with the Suns, or maybe even the New Orleans Pelicans if there's time left in the season. Luka's playing absolutely out of his mind. It's crazy that he's not getting more MVP talk. He's one of the best players in the league, and I know that Mavs aren't one of the best teams in the league, but they're moving up there. They're trending in the right direction, and with him and Kyrie both playing great, this team is on an absolute tear. Things are not looking so good for the Utah Jazz, however. The Jazz have lost their last 5 games in a row and 8 of their last 9 overall. They've been dealing with some injuries. Markkanen just came back. He did not look too good in that blowout loss at the Rockets. Just in general, the Jazz, they got off to a good start this season. They've had some solid numbers at home at different times, but this just hasn't been sustainable. This team just doesn't have enough depth, doesn't have enough talent. I think John Collins might be dead after that Anthony Edwards dunk on him the other night. That was absolutely insane. One of the plays of the NBA season. Utah has been good against the spread at home this year over the course of the season, but not so much recently. And Dallas is 21-12 against the spread on the road. That's a near league best mark, and we see the Mavs are only minus 7.5 in this game. Give me Dallas minus 7.5. I think they get the win and cover. They're focused, they're playing hard, and they're playing together. They're going to get the win against a struggling Jazz squad. Next up, we're looking at the Phoenix Suns going on the road to take on the San Antonio Spurs. The Suns are on a 3-game winning streak. They just won in the first game of a little home-and-home series against the Spurs. It was a blowout. The Suns came away with a 131-106 win. Wemby kind of looked lost out there. He didn't get a lot of help. He only scored 13 points in that game. It was just not a great showing from him. We saw Kevin Durant and Devin Booker both go off in the win for the Suns. The Suns shot the ball extremely well from long distance. They shot almost 60% 60% from the field overall. They dominated on the boards. This is just not looking like a great matchup for the Spurs. They did not have a good time in this game, and there's not a whole lot of reason to expect them to bounce back in a big way in this exact matchup. The Suns still have a lot to play for. They're currently sitting in the 6th seed, but they're only a half game up on the Kings and the Mavericks in that battle to avoid the play-in tournament. In this game, we're more focused on the over-under. The number for this one is currently 232.5. We see that Phoenix is a very solid under team. They're 54.3% to the under, and San Antonio is also a solid under team. They're 52.2% to the under. Give me the under in this one, guys. I know this number would have resulted in an over in the first game of this little home-and-home series, but I think offense is going to be more at a premium in this one. I don't think the Suns are going to absolutely shoot the lights out 2 games in a row. Give me the under in this number. I like this bet a decent amount. Last but not least, we're looking at the Memphis Grizzlies going on the road to take on the Denver Nuggets. Memphis comes in this game fresh off of a win over the San Antonio Spurs. They went on the road and got that win. Wins have been few and far between for the Grizzlies, at least while Ja Morant has been sidelined. They're starting to get healthy. Bane's been back. Jaren Jackson Jr. has been playing and playing relatively well, but there's really not a lot of reason for optimism this season for the Grizzlies. Obviously, they're way out of any sort of contention, and while there were some big highs when Morant came back, him being suspended and then getting injured put a dampener on their season very, very quick. It'll be interesting to see how they try and rebuild and bounce back in the offseason, but in this season, we really don't give them too much of a chance. They're taking on the Nuggets in this one. Denver has been playing amazing lately. They've won 3 in a row. They did have that loss to the Mavs on that absolutely insane Kyrie left-handed running hook shot. What a shot. That was absolutely crazy. The skill level involved in that is just off the charts. Denver's looking relatively healthy for this game. We do see Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic are listed as day-to-day. Murray is dealing with his ongoing ankle issue, and Jokic is kind of just dealing with a back/hip/ just getting the crap beat out of him every night issue. I do think they're both relatively likely to play. If they don't play in this game, though, I guess that's okay. I don't think that's a huge deal, especially with what we're looking at in this game. We're concentrating on the under in this one. We see that Memphis is a great under team. They're 54.3% to the under, and Denver is one of the best under teams in the league. There's 59.2, almost 60% to the under in this game. We see the number isn't huge in this one, 214.5, but especially we see either one of those players sit for the Nuggets, or just in general, we don't like the over in this game. Give me the under for sure. Under 214.5 is our pick. This is one of my favorite bets of the night. Not going to be seeing a lot of offense in Denver for this one. That's all the games we're looking at for today in the NBA, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets, and subscribe if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching, and you can click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com, and we will see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.